Good Monday evening, South Carolina Weather Watchers. I'm the host for South Carolina Weather, Joseph Peterson. Let's go ahead and start off your weather update for tonight. Looking at the radar for right now, we do have some nice conditions in South Carolina right now. We do have a couple of flood warnings, but for some rivers, but that's it. And then we do have some rain going, kind of like this little low pressure right here that's kind of moving upward, bringing rain all the way up into Virginia in the mid-Atlantic, bringing some pretty strong, I'd say some strong downpours, maybe even some storms inside of this little line right here. And then looking down, obviously, to our west, this is our big system that's going to bring us the heavy precipitation tomorrow. So definitely going to have to watch out for that. For not really for tomorrow, actually, I should say Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon. Um, but things like that. And then we do have some very interesting things going on up here inside the Great Lakes region. We do have some ice. We have some rain, some isolated storms going on over here inside the Midwest. Some snow up here inside the UP. And I think that must be a glitch. And if that's not a glitch, that's very weird. Because we have rain on the top side in Canada and then snow in the bottom side inside the UP of Michigan. So I don't know if that's a glitch or not, because the northern you go, the hot. I mean, sorry, the cooler it gets, and the more southern you go, the cooler it gets. If we're inside the northern equator, the northern equator, obviously. If we're downside the southern equator, that doesn't really make any sense. It would be the more southern you go, the cooler it gets. But, anyways, we do have some rain over here inside of Wyoming, and some isolated rain and some snow showers up over here inside the west, with winter storm advisory, winter storm warnings, things like that. I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything right now. Um, so yeah, the west, all this stuff over here is easing down, if that makes sense. Easing down. Rain and storms, obviously, across the south, obviously. And there's even a flooding threat. I'm reading the little thing that they have on the National Weather Service website, and it says that in Hawaii, rounds of heavy rain will lead to flooding potential for today going into tonight. So that is that, and let's go ahead and move on to our cloud cover. So cloud cover right now is very, very good. Clear. Not really anything that we have to worry about. Obviously, that will change when we get into tomorrow, probably. But we do have some fog out there, some fog up there in the upstate, and as well as over there inside the PD region of South Carolina as well. So fog, isolated fog in both those regions, and everyone else clear night to night. Definitely a good night to go outside, go star watching. And we're just going to have to wait and see what that cloud cover does for tomorrow, because as of right now, it is forecasted that I believe that there will be obviously cloud cover inside the South Carolina from the upcoming system that will come through on Wednesday. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with that. Here's our current temperature: 61 in Columbia, 62 in Charleston, 61 in Moncks Corner, 61 in Newberry, 59 in Greenwood, 57 in Greenville, 61 in Myrtle Beach, 61 in Florence, 61 in Sumter, 59 in Rock Hill, 61 in Beaufort, and 62 Walterboro, 61 in Augusta. So that is that for South Carolina for current temperatures. Here's our day one minimum temperatures. Obviously, pretty cool tonight. 51 up there inside the upstate, 49 around Sumter, Florence, and Columbia. 51 inside of Augusta, 56 Charleston, 53 inside of Myrtle Beach. And then if we go on ahead and move on to our max wind gust can get to around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Not really anything that we're going to have to watch for. And let's go ahead and move on to our chance of precipitation for the next 24 hours, or our accumulation, obviously. No precipitation is expected for most of us unless you're inside the very tip of the upstate towards like the Blue Ridge Mountains. A trace could be possible, but in between now and 7 p.m. tomorrow. Everyone else should be fine. No precipitation is really expected for anyone else. But if we go ahead and move forward 48 hours, obviously that's going to change. Around an inch would be possible inside the upstate, around 1.2 near the Augusta regions, around 0.8 for the Midlands, 0.6 for the coast. But this is for the next 48 hours ending Wednesday on 7 p.m. And if we move over to Thursday, 7 p.m., nothing really changes. If we go to Saturday, just a whole, just different thing. And if we go even 7 days out, just a whole different story. We're talking about potential for a good 3 inches of rain from Friday going into Saturday as well for parts of the upstate going into the Augusta region. Even a good 6 inches of rain could be possible in Georgia near like Columbus, just north of Columbus. Around a good 1 or 2 inches near the coast, around a good 2 inches in the Midlands, and again around a good like 3 inches near the upstate could be possible when it passed the system on Wednesday, going into the system on Saturday. So, and this is also the system that we're going to have to watch for severe weather for. I'll talk about that later. But if we go ahead and continue, here's the SPC outlook for today. Here it is for Monday. I don't know why that says Tuesday, but Monday. The 4th going into tonight going into pretty much just tonight, actually. Tonight, and then here's tomorrow's outlook. We do have, if we push this forward, we do have a less than a 2% chance for tornadoes, a 5% chance for the marginal, and a 5% chance for hail. So that is that. And if we go ahead and move on to the day 3, here's the marginal risk right here for Florida, Orlando, Melbourne, Tampa, Fort Myers, and Miami is inside of this marginal risk of severe weather this is for Wednesday going into Thursday. So that is that. And obviously, I was talking about severe weather. We do have a day 4 risk of severe storms. It is a 15% risk for Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, Arlington, and Plano, Texas. That also includes Alexandria, Louisiana, Lufkin, Texas, Waco, Texas, and Shreveport, Louisiana, as well. So if you know anybody inside those regions, please let them know that Thursday they do have a chance for seeing some severe weather. Same thing for Friday. We do have another 15% chance of severe weather for Baton Rouge, Montgomery, Shreveport, Mobile, and Jackson, Mississippi, including Dothan, Alabama. So definitely, if you know anybody inside of those regions, again, let them know. Friday is their day for severe weather. Now, nothing for day 6, 7, or 8, but I do expect that this day 6 for Saturday, we will be under a 15% risk for severe storms unless something happens and it dramatically decreases. But let's go ahead and read the writing. It says some severe risk may persist in a day 6 Saturday across parts of the southeast towards the Carolinas. However, model guidance shows substantial spread in the evolution of the upper trough at this extended time frame. Convection may also have a tendency to outpace the developing warm sector with time, while parts of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina will be monitored for possible inclusion in the 15% severe area in later outlooks. Predictability for early this weekend remains too low at this time. So let me just break that down. It's pretty much saying that severe risk will persist may persist in a Saturday across parts of the southeast towards us. However, model guidance is showing that the spread in the evolution of the upper trough pretty much shows that it's kind of like an extended time frame, so they're not sure exactly when it's going to hit. And it says convection may also have a tendency to outpace the warm sector, which would be great news because that means that those storms will not develop. So that's why the predictability is still way too low, and we still have no idea what's going to happen yet. We're going to have to wait and see what happens first. But we're just going to have to wait for that. And then as we go on ahead and wait for that, let's go ahead and look at the day one excessive rainfall outlook. We do have a day one slight risk of severe, I should say severe flooding, but flooding in general for like New Orleans, Baton Rouge, places like that. Then we have a marginal risk that surrounds that going from eastern Texas through most of Louisiana and southern Alabama and Mississippi. Talked about that this morning though. Here's our day two risk. Seems like nothing. Day three risk. We do have a little slight risk that extends from eastern New Jersey going up through eastern, kind of like near like New York City, actually going through eastern Massachusetts, eastern Connecticut, and all of Rhode Island is inside of a slight risk. We do have a marginal risk surrounding that going from southern Maine going into eastern Virginia, the mid-Atlantic pretty much. And then we do have a little marginal risk down there for Texas. I said Texas, California as well. They're nothing alike, but California as well. So this includes places like San Diego, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, places like that. Here's our day 1 through 3 winter storm impacts. Nothing for South Carolina as expected. I really think that our snow chances this year is officially done. I don't think that there's going to be another chance for us to get snow. There's just not enough cool air. There was enough cool air, but they just weren't at the same time. And that's just what happened. So I'm sorry that if you wanted snow this year, but I just don't see it happening. Obviously, a miracle is not impossible, but I just don't see it happening at all. But so let's go on ahead and move on and talk about the severe risk in my own severe risk for tomorrow. So let's go on ahead and look at it now. So going on ahead and moving on to tomorrow's risk. Here is the risk from the CIPS. The CIPS has no risk for a tornado, no risk for wind, but they do have a risk for hail. They do think that there is a chance that hail can start to and get going, especially inside of Arkansas, just south of Little Rock. So that is what they think. That's what they think. And honestly, I would not be surprised at all. This is a pretty decent forecast, but obviously, here's what the SPCs look like, and then here's theirs. So kind of similar, kind of not, but we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. Here is our day 2 risk from the CSU model. The CSU does have, again, overhyped stuff a lot. The wind threat is not bad. I'm not gonna lie. The wind threat is not bad at all. I do think that this is a very favorable. This could be very favorable of happening. So I'm gonna say that the wind threat's good. The tornado threat is a bit odd because it's like only out in the ocean and it's pretty much just saying that water spouts could be possible, which honestly I would not be surprised if a water spout did happen. So I mean, I'll say that that's fine, I guess. And then here is our hail threat, which is a lot on the high end. We'll see what the SPC issues for tomorrow, but we're gonna have to again just wait and see. They do have that 15% risk, even a little bit even further towards Indiana, which is very, very far out. So I think that it is a bit overhyped and it's a bit aggressive for sure, but it did not do too bad today for sure. Here is our day 3 risk. Actually, I probably should go over mine first. So here's my Twitter, South Carolina weather, and here is my risk for tomorrow. So you might see the marginal risk. You might see like these little colors right here. This color right here that I'm pointing to right now with my cursor, this is just regular thunderstorms. Yes, I do think there is a potential for some thunderstorm to pop off inside of South Carolina. Definitely not out of the realm of possibility. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens tomorrow and see what happens. I know definitely heavy rainfall as well could happen, but we will look at all that after in a while. And then here is our marginal risk for severe weather. I kind of copied the shape. I kind of went, for what I thought would be the best. And I do think that once we get into Texas, Arkansas, maybe this marginal could have been extended a bit more further upward, for sure. But it curves back down and goes into southern Mississippi. So I think that this is a pretty good forecast, especially for me. So we're going to go ahead and just count it and say that it's good. Here's our day 3 through 8. I am watching this region right here. The CIPS is trying to point something out, giving us a little 10% risk for severe storms, mainly for Myrtle Beach, Conway, Florence, Sumter, Georgetown, places like that. We're just going to have to wait and see, though, what the SPC thinks. And then here we do have a risk from the CSU model, which is showing some very interesting capabilities for mainly Texas going into Alabama and Mississippi, Florida as well. And then we do have a 5% risk from the SPC just for Florida, nothing for South Carolina, nothing for Texas through Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas. But if we go to day 4, look at this. We do have this, I think this is a 30% risk for severe storms for day 4. So a lot of capabilities here for the CIPS, having a little 10% around that and a 15% as well. Here's the CSU. The CSU not on the high end with this, but it's showing kind of like a Louisiana-shaped slight risk, and it's a way more upward, or way more northern, I should say, than the CIPS and the SPC. Here's what the SPC thinks is going to happen, which is the most reliable out of all of them. So if you want to pay attention to one, definitely pay attention to this one. But here's the 15% risk from the from the Storm Prediction Center. We already saw this earlier, so I don't really have to go over it that much. Here is day 5. Here's the SPC. We already looked at it, so there it is. The CSU is really going all out with this one. If you thought that it was going all out earlier, right now it for sure is, because now it has a 0.4% chance of severe thunderstorms being possible. So that is very, very high. That's not quite to a moderate risk, but that's definitely an enhanced risk is what it's trying to point out. I'm not going to focus on that too much right now because, as I said earlier, it overhyped stuff a lot. So we're going to go ahead and close that out. Here's our other day 5 risk right here from the CIPS. Gives a 30% chance for mainly Louisiana and Mississippi. Gives a 15% risk around that and a 10% risk around that. And day 6, the day that I'm watching, that y'all should be watching. The SPC does not have anything yet. They said that though. But here is, let's go ahead and look at the CIPS first. So the CIPS, kind of like I call it kind of like the mid model, kind of like the model that's like not too conservative, but also not too aggressive. Gives this huge 15% risk for Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and even parts of South Carolina. It has a 10% risk surrounding that. So watching for that. And then here's the CSU. CSU not going too bad, not too much off the rails, but definitely giving a slight risk to Alabama, Georgia, and southern South Carolina. So that is that. And obviously nothing for day 7, nothing for day 8. So after we get through our severe risk for day 6, we should be pretty much done unless something pops up in these models that is not popping up already. But that is why we're going to the excessive rainfall model next, seeing what they have over there. So if we go ahead and go to the previous day, here's day 4. All right, here we go. So here's day 1. Obviously, we're going to go ahead and change that thing to day 2. So here's day 2. You can see it down here on the 3 bottom models, obviously. The Weather Prediction Center does have a little marginal risk going into South Carolina, so I probably should have showed that. Oh wait, I did show that, but it didn't show up. So yeah, but here's the day two. I can't. I don't think I can enlarge that. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, okay, that's a bit better. So you can see it right here on your map that parts of South Carolina is inside of a marginal risk of excessive rainfall for tomorrow, mainly for the upstate. So if you're inside the upstate, gotta watch for some isolated flash flooding. If we go to the 12Z, this is kind of like a bit of an updated version, but it's not really too much different for pretty much most of South Carolina. Again, nothing really too much to worry about. Here is our day. Here's our, I think this is the next 6 days. Yeah, this is day 3. So yeah, this is day 3. Looking pretty, I'm not going to say conservative, I'm going to say interesting. Definitely marginal risk for North Carolina all the way up to Boston. So watching for flash flooding there. Here is our day 4 risk that goes from Texas through Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi up into Iowa, and then day 5 that takes a slight risk and pushes it into South Carolina for our day 5 risk of excessive rainfall. So we're just gonna watch out for that. If you're inside the upstate, I think day 5 is, if I'm not mistaken, let me look at my calendar real quick. That's Friday. So definitely gonna have to watch. That's probably why, because if you were listening earlier, I did say that a good 3 inches of rain could fall inside of the upstate, and with the slight risk of excessive rainfall, that could definitely be proved, as the Weather Prediction Center is also watching for it as well. Day 6 just includes all of South Carolina for a marginal risk of excessive rainfall. Watch for that. Day 7, nothing, and I went the wrong thing. Day 8, obviously nothing. So we can go to the GEFS. We'll go to day 6. Obviously, this one has a very different opinion for when it comes to what is going to happen. They have a slight risk of excessive rainfall for our day 6. That is for Saturday. For most of South Carolina, day 7 shows something for the upstate. Day 8 shows something for the upstate. So watching for more flash flooding, watching for severe weather. Severe weather is now kind of like, okay, it's kind of like we think it's going to happen. Will it happen? We're not quite sure yet, but excessive rainfall, I think for sure, excessive rainfall will probably happen. It's just that rainfall is going to come in Saturday, and it's going to rain a bunch. So we're going to have to watch and see for that. Mainly Friday night as well is also a good shot for that rain to start as well, but Saturday is probably going to be the main event. So if you have anything planned for Saturday, I would just cancel it, honestly. Saturday is not going to be a good day. Saturday is going to be a nasty day. If you have anything planned for Saturday for outside, just go ahead and cancel it, because it's not going to be looking too well at all. So I gave y'all the heads up. Here's the future. If we push this forward, there goes that system on March the 6th. This is Wednesday. And then we push that forward, and here goes this system right here that's going to potentially bring us that severe weather and that flash flooding. That's going to get out of our hair. And then we have another system that's going to come out of the west and start bringing some more snowy and rainy conditions. And we have a high pressure over us right now. We are having fun in the sun on March the 12th, 13th, the 14th, and then finally we have our next chance to rain on the 15th, to where we could potentially see some more rain, maybe some gusty winds with it. And then honestly would not be surprised at all if we saw some type of flash flooding, just from looking at it right now. And as you can see, snow for the Appalachian Mountains, that's going to push off. And we were talking about that is a 967 low pressure. That is some very, very, very strong winds. Not as strong as hurricanes. Now, if that was a 967 millibar hurricane, that would be a devastating hurricane. But luckily it has a cold core, and obviously it's not a hurricane, so, but it's still going to bring those strong winds, especially to places like, definitely like Pennsylvania, New York, up into Canada, and then 300 hours out. So we're not going to, talk about this too much, but that's pretty much it. We're gonna go ahead and wrap that up. I also put in the thumbnail earlier this morning that warmer temperatures were also here, and as you can see, obviously we're gonna have warm temperatures for a while, and then there goes that storm right there. It's gonna bring some cool air for a while, but let's be honest, it's not gonna last long. It's gonna last like 1 or 2 days, and then that warm air is going to be right back to where it belongs. And then cold air is going to try and take back over, but nope, the warm air is going to. But then the cold air tries to make a comeback, but that's 300 hours out, so we're not going to delve too deep into that. And that's going to be about it. So we're inside this warmer trend. Enjoy the warm weather while it lasts. I think that we could potentially have like 1, 2, maybe even 3 more cold blasts, and I think that may be it. I don't think that the temperatures will drop below 40, just 40 by itself. I don't think that the temperatures will drop below 40 for the rest of the, well, I'm not going to say for the rest of the year, but for the rest of the, until October, pretty much is what I'm trying to say. We'll get like 1 or 2 more cold blasts, and we'll be done with the cold. We'll be in full spring mode. We'll be full summer mode coming up in June. So yeah, that is that. And thank y'all so much for watching this forecast update. And I'll see y'all tomorrow morning with another forecast video.